Hey there, Collective. This is Seven Scorpion Tarot, and I want to welcome you to tonight's reading. So, tonight, I was thinking we would do a reading based on the moon. So, we'll do the moon in Scorpio for tonight's focus. And I thought that was a pretty good topic for timing because the sun sign just changed from Aquarius to Pisces. So, I've got my Pisces nails that I just did. Uh, so, it's that time of transition, and Scorpio has that Pluto and Death card energy. And also, I think I'm probably mixing up these terms, but I can't remember if it's traditional or classic astrology versus Hellenistic astrology, where Mars is the ruler of Scorpio. But Mars is about to station retrograde or station direct from being retrograde in Cancer. There's a lot going on with Scorpio right now. So we'll do a self, shadow, and ego, and we'll see where that gets us. We'll see. This is the Murder of Crows tarot. So very, very death card energy, especially with the, if I can shuffle, um, but with the art on here. Very creepy and spooky, and I love it. We'll start off with a card for the self. Getting a urge to ring this bell here. Maybe there's something in the air that needs to be cleared out. Because what moon phase are we in? Disseminating. So we're in the coming up to the waning crescent. I think that's right. Is that right? Well, I guess coming up to the halfway point. So, um, hmm, something from the full moon clearing out, going into the shadow. Interesting. Or maybe that's the prompt here, something that we want to consider for the upcoming new moon in Pisces. What do what new seeds do we want to plant during that new moon, and therefore what do we need to clear out? Because in order for something new to come in, you have to have that space. You have to have available space for it. Um, so this would be like that liminal time between, okay, what maybe what did we harvest at the full moon? What was revealed at the full moon? That did we just clip it and forget to take out the roots? You know, something that came to the surface. So maybe there's something deeper. Oh, here it is. Six of Wands, the Victory card. And if I suddenly flip a card like up and then back down with either this or um, the Call of the Morrigan deck here, it's because someone was au natural. But I've got the shakes apparently, uh, and a full moon on this card too. So public victory in the self. That's what was revealed during the full moon, or something we're hoping to be victorious about. And it's interesting because this is definitely giving me cloak and dagger for sure, with the like the plague masks on both the steed and the rider. So it's a public victory, but a concealed one. A concealed public victory? Interesting. It's a little counterintuitive. Like the mundane answer would just be that, oh, that's the style of the art in these cards, but I want to take that as part of this message of, do you want a victory for the public, but you don't want credit for it? Why not? Why wouldn't you want that? Like, hmm, that seems potentially excessively humble. And maybe that is something that is trying to come up through the shadow. Maybe you are being excessively humble. Uh, there's something, ooh, maybe there's something that you need to take credit for that you haven't, or don't want to, or like however that manifests for you. Uh, maybe humble brag a little bit. This is still hot. Yep, still hot. uh, are you being too shadowy with your victories, with things you should be taking credit for? I'll start shuffling for the shadow, because that's in the self position, but it's, and again, a very shadowy deck. Uh, but it's almost giving like vigilante vibes. Like I wanted to say like V for Vendetta a little bit. It's a little ominous. I feel like a little ominous right now. So, I'm not advocating for anything, of course. Uh, I wonder, are you maybe in a working environment that like other people are getting credit for your work, like they're standing on your shoulders, as it were? And since they're both wearing the same like plague doctor mask, like you're the one holding this up, or you've made all these contributions and they're imitating like what you're doing, or just like, what do they call it, lying by omission. Like somebody's not being outright deceitful about not giving you credit for something, but they're not going out of their way to mention that, oh, by the way, it was you who gave them that idea or that solution or whatever, which is infuriating. I totally get it. I've definitely had those moments myself. Like, it's hard in a workplace environment where, like, you want to call them out on the spot when you see that happening, but like, even though you're right, somehow, for whatever reason, it makes you look worse. Like, you calling out the person doing the wrongdoing, like in a team setting. I don't know. Like, I guess it depends on how you do it, maybe. And thank you, Siren. I'm gonna take that as confirmation. But and then, like, if you don't deal with it right there on the spot, and then it turns into this stupid game of like telephone between superiors and like that person and you and whatnot and this, that, and the other thing, then like, why bother? Because is the gravity of that even getting conveyed? Like, once you've played that game of telephone, if you guys remember playing that like in elementary school, maybe that's my past experiences speaking, but I'm not very trusting if I'm not in the room to hear what was actually said and like inflections and stuff like that. And we've got the Knight of Swords in reverse. And that flipped right as I said, not very trusting. Um, but and this horse's face is not obscured while the rider's is. So the messenger of the mind in reverse. And there's a crow on their arm, so that could be like a messenger crow too. And I think this is the fastest knight in the deck, if I'm not mistaken. Not very trusting. I wonder what the book say about the upright meaning. I don't think this book mentions reversals. Ups, pentacles, swords. Mm. The horse whinnies as its rider spurs it onward. An unstoppable force, this one propels themselves faster and faster further beyond. Heedless of danger and without hesitation, they rush into battle held high by their own zeal and drive. Do not be fooled into thinking they are unthinking. Rather, they have mastered the skill of relying upon their instincts to guide them to the right decision moment by moment, and they do not hold back. To falter is to lose. Keywords: reckless hero, lack of preparation, readying for battle, and fickleness. And it's in reverse. So maybe you're not trusting your instincts about who this imitator might be, who might be sitting on your shoulders. And the keywords were like reckless, lack of preparation, So maybe you're being calculating here in that case. Being really careful before you lob some sort of accusation or something that, like, was at the end of every Scooby Doo episode before they rip off the mask. And they're like, it was this guy the whole time. It was a guy from the very beginning. We trusted him the whole time. I'll start shuffling for the ego. And the other key word was like readying for battle. So maybe you're not readying for battle. That, like, are you being too trusting? Are you thinking that, like, what do they say? Like, what is that red flag at in interviews when they're like, we're family. We're family here. When I hear that, all I hear is we make excuses for dysfunction. Family is family and business is business. Those two things are separate for reasons. A multitude of them that there are so many policies and things of that nature for. Uh, and I'm not saying, like, you know, ready the horses and, you know, knock your bows and all that. And it just, like, maybe take pause and, like, am I missing something? Like, is there something going on, like, right under my nose and I'm not willing to look at it? Because it, like, think of the angle of horse to rider here. Uh, how difficult would it be for that horse to, like, crane its neck around and nonetheless, like, get this mask off without any thumbs? Like, this person standing on your shoulders might be someone you need help from. Like, there might be some sort of symbiotic relationship there that is keeping blinders on you effectively. Hmm, interesting. And I bet even with the light of the full moon here, it's probably really hard for both of them to see, obscured in those masks. Hmm, goodness me. So what's going on in the ego then? Like, how is this presenting to the outside world? And I hope you guys are staying warm wherever you are. Whoop, that was the world card reversed. Let me see. I think I have some chapstick around here. There we go. Uh, so two reversals. So the self is tuned in. It's the shadow and ego where we're seeing maybe blocked energy, or flip flopped. Like, I almost want to use like mirror land, like bizarro-world, like Superman. Uh, but so the world in reverse, that's like, that would be like cycles ending in the upright. So this is cycles continuing, something continuing on. Is it because you haven't admitted to yourself, like whomever this person is, or you haven't paused to just noodle on whatever is going on, that these actions are just enabled to continue? There we go. I was trying to phrase that in the least blamey, shamey way possible. Uh, because I don't know, like I don't like the way stuff is phrased all the time. Like what you perceive, you receive, so on and so forth. Like sometimes you're being gaslit. Like we don't live in a vacuum. uh, let's see. So the world. I want to see. I really like these descriptions in this book. Might be why I keep going to it. World. And final card and the major arcana. No journey leaves a soul unchanged. The chrysalis that has held you tight falls away and you emerge into a new life. You are more than you were before. Your black-winged companion in the land of shadows has become a part of you, and you see it with clear eyes. Or you see with its clear eyes, you speak with its mighty voice. You hold aloft tokens of victory for the spirit for the spiral of time. Man, I'm having a hard time the phrasing. For the spiral of time has brought you new gifts in accordance with your actions, and now, finally ready, at long last, you dance. Keywords: achieve your goals, completion, and culmination. Evolve and transform, bear great burdens. Hmm. Is there just one more thing? Oh, and I internally cringed. I recoiled. Uh, but one more lingering thing that you'd need for shadow integration, and not that we're ever like done with integration. Uh, it just whatever this stage is that you're in. Oh, and like the way I was phrasing this earlier was that like someone standing on your shoulders, but here it's the horse that's unmasked, not the rider. So is the threat from below? Is it something really fundamental? Archetypal? What I just heard? Hmm. And I mean that's very underworld. Uh and it is that time of year that Hades and Persephone are with each other. So we're not far off from Persephone returning and spring returning. So is that potentially some timing for something coming up? Or just like searching within the metaphor of their story and how absolutely involved that is with, you know, Hecate and Demeter, Demeter. There's so many different pronunciations. I never know. Uh, Hecate, however you want to say that. And maybe you're in a liminal space right now to be given that chance to review whatever this situation is, between the full and the new moon, just that liminal transitional space. And maybe this oracle card will clear things up a little bit. And this is one of the prettiest decks. Like, this is the back of the deck. The artwork in here is absolutely incredible. Again, it was the Call of the Morrigan. Fairly new deck from what I remember. I don't think it's been out all that long. I'm just going to cut it. Death. Very moon in Scorpio. Very on point. Uh, and the way I read this artwork is the full death, rebirth, and life cycle, because we're seeing the three crows, the three skulls, um, and I mean, there's all sorts of like different imagery in here, and that's really interesting with the world card in reverse. So is something trying to initiate the full transformative cycle, but it's blocked? Like there's just something at this last stage that we've got some sort of block to. It almost feels like a willful ignorance. Um, like it could be willful ignorance, it could be denial. And denial can be, you can be aware of it, you can be unaware of it. It can take a lot of different forms. Um, it can even be your brain protecting you from whatever it is that's going on. I'm going to get some dice to get maybe a little bit more insight on this. I don't think there's a whole lot more detail I can get into on a general reading, though. 11th house. So, Aquarius. We were just talking about that at the beginning of the reading. Aquarius again. Okay. Something's up. um, and Mars. Okay. Well, the dice heard me talking. So, a lot with the present time right now. And then what were the keywords for the 11th house? Technology, future, groups, and friends. So I would check out your 11th house placements, wherever Mars falls for you, and if you have any personal planets in Aquarius that might yield some additional detail on this. Uh, a lot of synchronous energy here, though, so this seems pretty on the nose for someone. I don't know who you are, but I do hope it helps. I do hope it resonates, and if it doesn't, I hope the next one does. Thank you so much.